The StableSwap launch on the new PulseX version 1.07. Is this another piece to the puzzle for the pStables? Quite some time ago, one of the speculations that I've been having about how it could peg, I didn't know too much about the MakerDAO contract. I didn't know too much about curve finance. I'm not really in on all the technicalities of that. All I knew is trying to understand it from the perspective that I understand it, and it's through liquidity pools. And I'm certainly no liquidity expert. I'm certainly no liquidity pool expert, but I have been exploring that in this channel through some of these videos here. And one of the things that I've been speculating about how it could actually peg is if all the pStables are combined in a pool, and through the connection and the arbitrage that happens between them, it will create some kind of stability. Then StableSwap came out. So for me, this is like, this big key moment of what could actually the future be for the pStables. So what I'm going to do in this episode is I'm going to break down, first of all, why stablecoins are so important, hearing it from the big man, Richard Heart himself. And then I'm going to go through some awesome tweets and just break down those tweets for you. And I'm probably going to do this in two parts. And so tomorrow or the next day, I'm going to do 99 Capital, Curve Finance tweet, and Decentralized Me, who's also all over the pDAI narrative. So with that, let's get into it. And I want to share, first of all, like I said, I want to start with, let's hear what the big man himself has to say. I don't know if you guys remember this interview. So stablecoins are a great way to continue to hold your value, especially during the bear. DAI seems to be Richard Hart's preference, as it's likely because it doesn't have admin keys. I look forward to a RH stable, but for now, eDAI is pegged, which you can farm with on PulseX. So this was last week. This post was made by Mrs. Hexagon. Does anybody remember this? With somebody, Harvey Dent, or not Harvey Dent, someone Dent, I think. But yeah, his whole tune changed in this interview when Richard educated him on how how stablecoins are superior to the US dollar. So let's just have a listen to this little clip first, just to kind of set the scene.
You give me, Richard,
sure,
your recommendation. Let's say I'm right, we're going to have some sort of big downturn.
Yes.
Just that one assumption, it could be inflation. What is the one thing you would have people buy to make money in a downturn?
Stable coins. You buy stable coins. So right now, well, yeah, because they're tied to the dollar. But so
wait, you hate the dollar.
Yeah, but they have.
Richard, what are you talking about here? You hate the dollar. You don't want anything in dollars or paying in dollars.
Yes, but it has advantages that the dollar doesn't have. So when you take a dollar to your bank account, you have probably some taxable income problems, don't you? There, yeah. So depending on what jurisdiction you live in, it could be the case that if you sold an asset for dollars, maybe you live in a jurisdiction where that's not a taxable event. And then maybe you can just stick that in decentralized finance, which is currently paying, depending on what you're trading, 40% APR, because people are borrowing it for leverage to get long. So in DeFi and Ethereum, you can take a stable coin and lend it out with just smart contract risk, no other counterparty risk. There's no AML, no KYC, no sign-up risk, no a global overlord that can be like, that's not your money, we're taking your money, none of that bullshit. That's all solved. So you just do have smart contract risk.
And this is exactly why he wants pStables, or why we believe that he wants pStables, is because it completely removes any outside risk. Anything outside of Pulse Chain, there is zero risk because it's all existing within Pulse Chain. This is a key thing to remember. You got to make sure, you got to hope the code works right. And you can get in between 6 and 40% per year sitting on your fucking cash with, depending on where you live, maybe no taxes.
How long?
This, if you continued to listen to this whole interview, when he started talking about getting 6%, his whole tune changed. This dude's whole tune changed. And this guy's like, he's a massive bear, and he's all about the traditional financial system. So yeah, very, very cool interview. I'd recommend going and check that one out, the full interview as well, if you want. So Genius Mutt, Mr. Matrix Mischief. So we'll listen to this one as well. So a few tricks up my sleeve, Richard Hart. So I'm going to go, this is a great little tweet that I want to break down with you guys. So let's just start from the beginning.
I got a few tricks up my sleeve. I got some more cool shit coming. I'll tell you about.
Oh, you may well do. Everybody does. But
yeah. No. I have more than most.
Is this part of one of his tricks?
Founder of a $50 billion cryptocurrency. I have more than most.
Yeah, you can brag about that. I mean, that's fine.
So this idea that you can make absolutely insane, amazing changes in the world by just turning the right screws, but knowing where those screws are, it's a big deal. It's a big deal. So it gets framed like, you made too much money for too little work. But in fact, it's the opposite. Making a lot of money with little work means you have little overhead, which means you have little negative price externality. Look at Zcash. Zcash price is doomed and has been doomed for years. Why? Because they got a building of 80 guys doing something. I still prefer maximally effective on-ramping. I still don't like ads that don't work. And most ads do not work. I don't think billboards work. I don't think sports advertising works. I don't think race cars work. I got some other tricks I ain't gonna tell you about. I'm gonna let them shoot themselves in the foot first so they can't counteract the counterplay. But like, I see things going wrong in the news so much, it makes me want to grit my teeth. You must have no expectation of profit from the work of others. I'm just telling you what I see on chain. So it seems like whatever may control the sacrifice keys is a fiat stablecoin maximalist, except for Hex. It has a lot of Hex, it has a lot of stablecoin.
Oh, a lot of stablecoins. All right, so update for Pulse Chain, stable pools. The stable pools and liquidity details strongly suggest that Pulse Chain is setting up the infrastructure that could be closely related to or even precursor to an sDAI-like protocol. Here's how. sDAI protocol overview. sDAI allows users to earn interest on DAI directly, leveraging the DAI savings rate on the Gnosis chain. Users deposit xDAI and start earning yield, which is higher than the regular DSR due to specific liquidity and interest dynamics. How Pulse Chain's update could signal an sDAI-like protocol. Stable pool introduction. The stable pools on PulseX are a clear setup for creating a robust environment for stablecoin liquidity by pooling these stablecoins. Pulse Chain ensures there's ample liquidity for any potential interest-bearing or yield-generating protocol similar to sDAI. This is crucial because high liquidity ensures that users can enter and exit positions without significant slippage, making a yield protocol more attractive. Relates to sDAI by providing the necessary liquidity. Balanced liquidity across stablecoins. The nearly equal distribution of USDT, USDC, and DAI in the pools, all around 1164 units, suggests a deliberate effort to maintain balanced liquidity, which is critical for the stability of any yield-generating protocol in an sDAI-like system. Having diversified and balanced pools means that the yield generated can be more stable and less dependent on the performance of a single asset. Relates to sDAI by mimicking the balanced liquidity that supports a stable yield. Low fees and high burn rate. With a fee of just 0.4% and a 50% burn rate, Pulse Chain is positioning itself as an environment where transactions are cheap and deflationary pressures could increase the value of the underlying token. In an sDAI-like protocol, low fees would make the process of earning and compounding interest more efficient, and the burn mechanism could help in driving up the value of any native tokens associated with the protocol. Relates to sDAI by creating a cost-efficient deflationary environment, which is attractive for yield protocols. So yield protocols, yield is what guys like this are after. Richard also has mentioned that he wants Pulse Chain to be the most liquid chain on the planet. And having all these massive liquidity pools full of stable coins and connected to pStables is going to make it one of the most liquid blockchains on the planet. We're miles ahead, thanks to Richard and his foresight, miles ahead of the rest of the market, of every other blockchain. They're all running around chasing memes. Yeah, we've got our memes here too, but we're actually building real utility that's happening under the surface, right before our very eyes. So the conclusion to that, this setup on PulseX could very well be a sign that Richard Hart is preparing to introduce a protocol similar to sDAI on Pulse Chain. The focus on stablecoin liquidity, low transaction fees, and deflationary tokenomics are all indicators that Pulse Chain is gearing up to support more advanced DeFi products likely including a yield-generating stablecoin protocol. Absolutely key. The main goal here seems to be to create an ecosystem that can attract users looking for stable, reliable returns on their assets, which would bring in more liquidity and activity to Pulse Chain. This aligns perfectly with what sDAI does on Gnosis and could be adapted or even improved upon within the Pulse Chain ecosystem. So as you can see, this is the stable pool. So I'll show you how to get there on PulseX in just a minute because it has had a UI upgrade. And wow, so this is the global amount. So I need to figure out what these units are. So global 1164. So that wouldn't mean I wonder how many actual units, because obviously not 1,164 USDT in there. It'll be a lot more than that. I'll double check that and try and dig into that in just a moment. So, because this is a very deep post. So given that pDAI is already present on Pulse Chain, it's more likely that Richard Hart and his team will focus on building around this existing stablecoin rather than introducing an entirely new one. Here's how this could play out. So Richard, in this clip as well, was talking about how he can create his own stablecoin. But in actuality, he doesn't need to create a stablecoin. He just needs to create this liquidity pool. And this is what stabilizes it if it ends up getting connected to the pStables. Potentially, this is my hypothesizing. I'm not saying I'm right or wrong. This is just my hypothesizing. Take it with a grain of salt. Integration with DeFi protocols. Since pDAI is already established on Pulse Chain, the next step could be to integrate it more deeply into the Pulse Chain ecosystem. This might involve introducing yield-generating protocols similar to sDAI, where users can deposit their pDAI and earn interest. 75% chance of this relates to sDAI by leveraging pDAI's existing presence and liquidity to create a robust, yield-bearing stablecoin option on Pulse Chain. Seamless integration. Given that pDAI is already forked and integrated into Pulse Chain, building on it could simplify the deployment of yield-generating features without needing to develop new smart contracts from scratch. This approach allows for the rapid implementation of sDAI-like functionalities, making it easier to engage users. Relates to sDAI by offering a familiar, proven structure for yield generation. Possibility of a new coin. Tailored features of Pulse Chain. Creating a new coin would allow Richard Hart to design the tokenomics and features specifically for Pulse Chain's ecosystem. This could include better integration with Pulse Chain's native token, unique yield mechanisms, or deflationary properties that aren't available with a simple pDAI fork. Branding and market differentiation. A new coin would allow Pulse Chain to differentiate itself further from Ethereum and other blockchains. This could be particularly attractive if Richard wants to position Pulse Chain as a completely independent ecosystem with its own native stable assets, similar to how Terra had UST. Relates to sDAI by potentially offering more tailored and innovative yield strategies specific to Pulse Chain's unique features. I definitely align with this. The way that I understand Richard, this is the way that I've heard everything, and how he talks. This is how I would. This is the direction I would consider him to be going in, being completely independent to even the rest of the crypto market, being completely separated from it. So it has no negative externalities. Any issues only happen from within Pulse Chain. It shouldn't be affected from outside. Conclusion, I'm 50-50 on whether the focus should be on enhancing the utility of pDAI or introducing a new approach within Pulse Chain. On one hand, leveraging pDAI, which is already integrated into the ecosystem, offers a straightforward path to expanding its utility, especially through DeFi protocols and liquidity incentives. This would be a logical step to solidify Pulse Chain's position on the DeFi space. On the other hand, there is still room for innovation, possibly through creating new tailored financial products that could differentiate Pulse Chain further from other ecosystems. This could include unique yield strategies or even the introduction of initial assets that complement pDAI. Ultimately, the decision will likely hinge on the broader strategic goals for Pulse Chain, whether the aim is to maximize the existing infrastructure quickly or to innovate and attract new users through novel offerings. The most likely impactful move Richard Hart could make is to integrate pDAI into a yield-generating protocol on Pulse Chain, similar to sDAI. By leveraging PulseChain's existing low fees and deflationary tokenomics, this protocol could offer users higher and more stable yields than what's currently available on other platforms. This would not only attract yield farmers and DeFi enthusiasts, but also draw users from other blockchains like Ethereum, where high gas fees have been a persistent issue. The introduction of this protocol could create a massive onboarding wave as users seek to maximize their returns in a cost-effective and innovative environment. The strategic combination of high rewards, low costs, and strong community engagement could position PulseChain as a leading hub in the DeFi space. I would replace this could to will. If PulseChain rolls out a yield-generating protocol similar to sDAI, MakerDAO could play a crucial role in the process, primarily through the use of its DAI stablecoin and the DAI savings rate. So I have actually done some breakdowns of 99 Capital's tweets here, so you can check that video out here. He talks about how the PMaker contract has been taken over by what he refers to as Richard Hart. So I'm not going to speculate whether it's Richard or it isn't. That's not for me to say. He's saying that it is, and he's saying that's what the evidence suggests. I'm just saying it's some kind of massive whale that has a lot of power, and he's shown the evidence here in that video. So go check that video out. And let's get back into how MakerDAO could be utilized. Leveraging DAI and the DSR, the protocol on PulseChain could integrate with MakerDAO's DAI stablecoin, allowing users to deposit pDAI, the PulseChain, into a savings mechanism that earns yield based on the DAI savings rate. The DSR is a key feature of MakerDAO, which enables holders of DAI to earn interest by simply locking their DAI into a savings contract. So I've actually never used MakerDAO, but I have used liquid loans, and they're kind of similar. You lock your stables in there, and you get some yield on that. So interest rate arbitrage. If the PulseChain protocol offers a yield that's higher than the DSR available directly on MakerDAO, it could attract users looking for better returns on their DAI holdings. This would essentially use MakerDAO's infrastructure to draw in users while providing enhanced benefits through PulseChain's unique ecosystem. Cross-chain yield strategies. The protocol could aggregate yields from multiple sources, including MakerDAO's DSR on Ethereum. Users on PulseChain could deposit their pDAI, and the protocol could automatically bridge and farm the best yields, including those from MakerDAO, across different chains. The returns would be consolidated back into, PulseChain, where they're distributed to users. Just really think about this. Again, going back to that, someone Dent, Harvey Dent. It's not Two-Face, but whatever. It's not Harvey Dent. But yield in a bear market is golden. I mean, if there was a protocol, like let's just say this whole time that we've been sitting in a bear market, and instead of, okay, yes, we're generating yield with Hex, and let's say Hex gets to its all-time highs again, that's a big win. If it doesn't, it's not really a big win. But you could spread your risk by having pDAI, and for a fraction of the actual dollar equivalent, if it ends up pegging the yield that you can get, personally, I'm almost up to a milli pDAI. I'm slowly working my way up there. Almost got my milli pDAI for way less than $1 million, right? And if I can lock that up for yield, and I've purchased it for a few thousand, and it's now worth $1 million, and it stabilizes at $1 million, the yield that you're generating on that negates the cost of it completely, the purchasing cost of it. So if you purchase it now, even if you purchase $1 million now for whatever it's going to be, 5,000, or probably more than 5, whatever it is, we'll have a look at the prices in a minute. The yield that you would get over that in a short period of time will negate the cost of it. But that's a bet that you have to decide whether or not to take. So that's a bet that I'm personally willing to take, because, well, I'm all in on crypto, and that's just and I really do believe that this is the direction PulseChain wants to go. Backing of new stable assets. If PulseChain introduces a new stablecoin, it could be partially backed by pDAI, leveraging the stability and liquidity of DAI managed by MakerDAO. This would provide an additional layer of trust and reliability to the new asset, making it more attractive to users. Conclusion. MakerDAO could be integral to Pulse Chain's potential yield generating protocol by providing a stable and trusted foundation in the form of DAI. The DAI savings rate could be utilized to offer a competitive interest rates within Pulse Chain's ecosystem, attracting users and liquidity from both within and outside the Pulse Chain community. This strategic use of MakerDAO would enhance the protocol's appeal, driving massive onboarding and making Pulse Chain a key player in the DeFi space. More than a key player, I think it's going to be the number one player in the DeFi space. We're going to be so far ahead, and then oh boy, the way that I've been seeing Pulse Chain, the way that I've actually been seeing what it is, I don't want to give too many details, but let's just say the information that I've been hearing from people and that I also have been connecting the dots in my own mind as I gorge on all the information, and then I just let it go and leave it. And then it's like, holy shit, it's dawned on me what this actually potentially is. I don't have any solid evidence to say this is what Pulse Chain is, this is what all the nodes are, this is actually what's happening. I don't have that evidence. There's no hard evidence for that. That is pure speculation, and I don't really want to reveal anything yet because it's actually something that's so effing profound that we want to be way ahead of the game. And if it is what I think it is, we've already won. Because once it reaches that point of, yeah, I'm not gonna say anything. I'm not gonna say anything because the last time I tried to talk about these sorts of things, my whole channel was going spastic. So I'm just gonna leave it at that. But it blew me away so much that I actually, it's almost partially why I kind of stopped streaming for a while there, because it was like, this is too much. This is too much to handle. And I couldn't deal with it almost in a way. It was like the information was like, wow, this is like, yeah, I'll leave it at that. It's very, I'm sorry, it's not very clear what I'm saying, but yeah, what's going on there. Let's have a listen to this little clip here as well. And actually what I'm going to do, I do apologize. I probably should have done this for all of them, but just to get optimize the video quality.
Hey everyone, this is DeFi Dad. I'm at ETH Denver. I'm joined here by Sam from Protocol Engineering at MakerDAO. Sam, in case folks are new to Maker, what is Maker?
Maker Protocol is the protocol that facilitates the DAI stablecoin. So at the most basic level, let's say you have some ETH, you have $150 worth of ETH, you can lock it into the Maker Protocol and then mint up to about $100 worth of DAI. And as long as you keep that position over collateralized, you can mint more DAI and use that DAI to leverage up on ETH or whatever else you might want to do.
Hey everyone, this is DeFi.
So the whole world, the whole financial system is just scam leverage on scam leverage on scam leverage on scam leverage on scam leverage. So it's almost like we're making our whole system of scam leverage on scam leverage on scam leverage on scam leverage, where if you have the conviction now to say, you know what, I believe in the pStables, I'm going to buy myself some pUSDT, pUSDC, and pDAI, and I'm going to take that bet, and I'm going to keep those pStables and then just borrow against them, and just have that solid foundation and just keep borrowing against it and then multiplying your assets in that way. This is exactly how the whole financial system works. It just works on debt. It works. That's how the rich get richer. They don't sell their assets. They just borrow against their assets. And this is exactly what we want. This is one of the profound things that blew me away with liquid loans, but it has been a little bit of a disappointment in a way. Probably more so because I haven't had the assets to be able to do that kind of stuff. But with pStables, if they do end up pegging, then if you also had that foresight, then you'll also have that ability to be able to do those things. And like I said, the whole financial system is just leveraged on leveraged. They're just borrowing against borrowing against borrowing against borrowing. So it's all just this house of cards. But I'm hoping that cryptocurrency, because it's all programmed and everything is mathematically defined, that the negative externalities that are presented through a potential collapse in the traditional financial system are alleviated within a decentralized financial system because of the way that all the protocols are aligned. So either way, whatever it's going to be awesome.